This is totally not the second take, but
Totally not. Keep that in.
so we had quite a downhill journey with the past minute.
Totally the first time we've done that.
I wish they were pointed down more, because then you would have seen his legs just shoot up.
No, he kicked it.
I don't totally kick.
Totally the first time he's made that joke. Totally.
Yeah, totally first time. But we are back with another MCU review, the second one. So joined by
Logan Wilson
and
Jonah Morgan.
And today we're here to talk.
Jonah Morgan.
But today we're here to be talking about the Incredible Hulk. But first and foremost, Logan's gonna give his quick thoughts on Iron Man.
Yes, Iron Man. Uno. The fantastic start to a wonderful universe. Very great film. Very great film. A few minor complaints here and there. I'm gonna give it a rating of like an 8.7.
Quite specific.
8.7.
Yeah.
So, for this movie, this is the MCU movie I've seen the least. We just watched it again. That was my third time seeing that movie.
Yeah.
Thor is the one I've seen the least.
I've seen
one's
better
Thor:
than
The
this.
Dark World.
I hope so.
I've actually seen Thor: The Dark World a couple of times.
Yeah, I thought this was gonna be like I went into this thinking like, oh, this might be a case of
Attack on the Clones.
Well, I still don't know how that even happened.
Because we ended up liking that movie.
We ended up
a lot
liking
more,
Attack of the Clones because the Anakin and Padme stuff was a lot shorter, but
and not as bad.
it was not the case for this movie. I liked it less because as a kid, like as a kid watching this movie, yeah, it was slow. This movie's very slow. But as a kid, when it got to like explosions, I'm like explosions, Hulk.
Yeah. So
but those moments are honestly few and far between.
Yeah.
There's not as much.
Yeah.
There's not as much
see
Hulk
the
in this
Hulk,
movie
like,
as you
30
think.
times.
Yes.
Like 3 or 4 times. But that's sort of the problem, is that because in this case we're starting out with the short section of the good.
The first time you see Hulk is
I'm gonna say all of the scenes with Hulk, and I mean in terms of like the action, because
unless they're like a close-up.
Close-up shots don't like. We'll get to that when we get to the bad. But all the scenes with Hulk is some really fun action that I love. And especially the first time you see him.
It's like a Predator sequence.
It is. It's cool.
It's cool, and it's the correct.
It's something that they used
of Hulk.
It's something that they used in the movie of all time with Mobius.
The movie of all time.
That
scene was great.
The scene is.
You know what's funny? This movie reminds me a lot of Morbius.
It does.
It does remind me a lot of Morbius. Morbius felt so similar to this movie in hindsight.
Yeah, that's actually a very valid point.
Wait a second.
Again, all the scenes with Hulk in terms of like the fights and just how cool it is seeing Hulk.
The correct version of Hulk.
Yeah, very.
Because you only see that
strange.
You only see that twice.
Maybe 3 times.
In Avengers, the final fight in Avengers, that's Hulk. But like in Avengers, when he first turns into Hulk, when it's like scary.
Yeah, which we'll touch on when we get to Avengers. Do you guys have anything else really good?
For 2008, it could look way worse. I remember it looking better, but like all things from my childhood. Like, I frequently go back and play PlayStation 2 games from the late 2000s, and I remember them looking, like, way better, but...
There's a couple of shots that don't look half bad.
The close-up face shots look terrible.
And, like, how bright green the eyes are
doesn't
make it better. It makes it look cartoony.
I'm not going to yell about it because it's 2008.
Right, it's 2008. But
and the budget wasn't, like, huge.
Yeah, let me just say, this does not feel like it came out in the same year as Iron Man.
And the thing is, this came out, I think, a month or 2 after Iron Man.
Yeah. And Iron Man does have a bigger budget, but, like, they still have a lot of money.
Iron Man has a bigger budget by $50 million.
Ant-Man has a smaller budget than this movie.
Yeah, but also
they had figured it out
a little better.
But even then,
this movie just doesn't feel like it came out in the same year.
No, it doesn't look great, but for the times, I'll give it a pass.
I mean, even then, like you look at what came out 3 years after with Thor. As alright as that movie is, Thor looked breathtaking.
Yeah, it did. I mean, Asgard looked incredible.
Wait, hold on. Banner, actor name.
Edward Norton.
Not as bad as I remember. He wasn't.
No, his performance was not.
I don't think he's that bad.
His performance was not terrible.
But it also
Liv Tyler's performance was questionable.
But Mark Ruffalo is very, very.
We'll touch on Mark Ruffalo's performance a lot more when we get to Avengers, because that's when he becomes Hulk. So Bruce in this movie is not the worst. Like everyone does a fine performance, but it's not. It's honestly not that great of a performance.
He looks more like Doctor Strange than Bruce Banner. Whenever he gets like the facial hair, he looks a lot like Doctor Strange to me.
Betty was an okay love interest. I have a problem with the fact that after this movie, there's not a trace of her.
Hopefully she comes up.
Maybe She-Hulk will get some more.
Maybe.
I'm hoping with She-Hulk coming out tomorrow as of recording this,
they make this movie more relevant.
Because Abomination's going to be in the show.
Because like if like literally everyone you ask if they're like, hey, I've never watched the Marvel movies, what should I watch? You're never going to say this.
Right.
There's no reason to watch.
You will say everything except.
We're still talking good. I want to say, like, at face value, this movie is not awful. No. Like, the general plot is not that horrible.
Very straightforward.
The fine details you get a little bit weird in. But, like, at face value, the general plot of this movie is pretty good, and I think they should just not ignore it.
And it's straightforward because the plot makes sense. They want to turn him into a weapon, which that's what happened if Hulk was a thing.
It's a basic Hulk story,
and the characters are not horrible. I think they should not ignore them. I mean,
the problem is that
they bring back one of them, and I didn't even realize that.
You didn't realize that
General
Ross.
General Ross. I didn't realize it was supposed to be the same character. I knew it was the same actor, but I didn't realize it was the same character.
I'm genuinely hoping that She-Hulk kind of brings this movie a little bit of recognition.
I'm just hoping She-Hulk is good. And people can stop
I'm just hoping it gives this movie some
recognition on no matter what. That's the problem with Marvel fans nowadays. They just are crapping on all these.
There's people crapping on literally every single Marvel project, no matter how good it is.
Yeah, like everybody's.
So I'm going into She-Hulk tomorrow with just blank slate. I'm just gonna have fun.
She-Hulk will be out by the time this video goes up, I imagine.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and get this up tomorrow because Iron Man took me.
It'll be up by the time this is posted. I hope that it kind of brings some relevance to this movie because it was not as horrible as I remember.
Because it is part of the story, whether some people like it or not.
Because they reference because they have like Avengers. They reference scenes in this movie. They reference this movie in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where Coulson says Blonsky's cryo cell at one point.
Yes, he says Blonsky's cryo cell.
And they mention it in a Marvel one shot where Coulson once again says Blonsky.
And they mention it a lot in Avengers, which is the next time you even see
Bruce.
You see Bruce. He talks about he's
never
always,
had his own.
Talks about he's always angry, which is something you see at the very end of him like kind of channeling Hulk and like learning or at least attempting to control it. They mention this movie a lot.
Yeah, the problem with this movie is the fact that it's not that interesting and it's
pretty boring.
It's a very boring movie, and that sums up pretty much all the bad in this movie. Is that it's just boring.
This movie, so the movie's plot is not bad, but the movie's plot could also be condensed into like an hour.
That's the problem. It went on for too long.
Yeah,
it's not even a 2-hour.
This movie could be like
an hour and 50 with credits.
This movie could be like an episode of a show.
I know.
If it was condensed.
Yeah.
Not to say it's bad. It's just drawn out.
Yeah, that's wrong. It's like because it's just so uninteresting. That brings this movie down more than anything else.
It's not really enjoyable to watch.
And brings us into the bad.
That kind of it's like there is a good chunk of good in this movie, but when something is just boring, that brings the movie down so far.
I think it also has something to do with the fact that Iron Man was released in the same year,
and
Iron Man is so good.
See, that's the problem is that it came after one of what I consider to be one of the best movies
of the
2000s.
And every single character in that movie is amazing.
And it was a perfect start.
The competition is
the competition's stiff. Yes, yeah. And but they knew what they wanted to do. As soon as they released Iron Man, they knew they wanted to make create a universe like that.
That was the goal. You could tell.
Yeah, you could.
I do appreciate what this movie did in introducing the Hulk in this universe.
Oh yeah.
We only had I think 1 or 2 other Hulk movies before this.
Another good thing was I forgot that RDJ was in this movie at the very end.
That scene. Honestly, the only other thing I feel like we can talk about is Abomination. He's okay.
No, I cringe.
No, I say okay.
Good concept. His CGI is not good.
No, I mean him as an entire character. Because before he's Abomination, he's okay.
Well, he's a good character concept. Because
Abomination, cringe. Like you just said.
God, the lines.
Can we talk about the guy that said "booyah"?
Oh my gosh, he says "booyah" and shoots the rocket.
There's a guy. This is still in the good.
I think we both.
I'm putting this in the good.
While watching that, we both unison said, "Did he just say booyah?"
There's a guy in the military that is holding a rocket launcher and says "booyah"
before firing the rocket launcher.
Abomination catches it and eats it.
Yeah.
What happened? That's in the good part. That was so funny.
Good part.
It was so stupid. I guarantee they didn't mean for it to be like a joke, but that is one of the funniest things that's so good.
Yeah.
Anyways. But no, Abomination is just cringe. Even his character before he turns into Abomination is not that good.
Like, it's fine.
He looks like a weasel.
He does.
He really does.
He's not and they mean for him to be intimidating. No, he's like so short. And his hair is always like in his face. He's just weird.
Yeah, just not the greatest. Not the greatest of all.
General Ross wasn't awful. I don't know if you consider him a villain. Not really, but just like a
villain. Overarching, like, hey, he's there. He's kind of
in the way.
He's kind of in the way. He's kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
But no, I do like him.
I like him too. Do we just want to get to the ratings? Or do you guys
there's not much to talk about.
No,
there's not that much.
It's pretty bare bones. It's one of the most straightforward movies I've ever watched. That Hulk is strong.
There's not much.
Military wants Hulk.
Yeah.
And military doesn't get Hulk because of other member of military. That's it. Yeah. No, it's just crazy how far they've like this is very, and Iron Man is bare bones too to me, but it's fantastic.
Right, because this is like the beginning of the universe, so there's not much to talk about.
Yes, there's not much to talk about. It's crazy how much they've like expanded.
Yeah.
But this movie is very bare bones, but it just doesn't do it very well.
So out of 10, Jonah will. Which one do you want to start with?
I don't have a number. I don't have a number in mind yet.
Okay,
you can go. I don't have a number.
Yeah. There's really not much to talk about here. It's just kind of lame. It does what it does, and I think it does it effectively, and I think it deserves to be recognized.
This movie's just kind of there.
Like, I think the characters deserve some recognition because they could be better.
I do have it.
Like, they could be better, but overall, this movie is just very mid. I'm gonna give this movie a 5.
Okay.
5 flat.
That's pretty close to what I was going to do.
Which feels generous.
Yeah, because to me, 5 says average.
Yeah.
I would say, okay, so I feel the same exact way. I feel the same exact way. This movie's just kind of there, you know? It serves its purpose in the story, and I really hope that, like, because the story of this movie is very good. I think the story is, like, interesting and could be very interesting if they bring the story of this movie back into the light with, like, if She-Hulk makes it important again. But overall, the movie is not very enjoyable.
It's not entertaining.
It's not entertaining.
It's not really entertaining.
Especially because of what is in between. Because even though Iron Man 2...
Dude, it's in between the two Iron Man. It's between two Iron Man.
Because the first
Which are both very entertaining.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, the first Iron Man is just a genuine, like, fantastic movie.
And there's 4.
Whereas Iron Man 2 is not as great,
not as good, but it's still entertaining.
It's so fun.
It's so fun.
Anyways, score.
Not very entertaining to watch. The parts with Hulk are more entertaining, but like the at time there's so few and far between, and the at times crappy CGI kind of detracts from it a little bit. I'm gonna go 4.3. 4.3 because I was gonna say 4.5. I was like no. And I said 4. No, 4.3. It's slightly below average. Would I like 5? If I gave something a 5, I'd be like, I would consider watching again. I don't want to watch this again.
I don't consider 5s watching again. I think 7 and up, I'm watching again.
See, for me,
no, I'm saying 5 is something that I would.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm watching. Maybe I'm watching.
For
again.
me,
I don't
a
want
5 or a 6 out of 10 is like a C tier movie.
The only time I'm watching this movie again is if I'm forced to.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I think of it as.
It's the only reason I watched it.
4.3 is my final.
And I'm gonna piggyback off of that because you said mine. I'm going to 4.5.
Okay.
I was teetering between that and 4, but
the couple good characters.
The thing is, I gave Morbius a 4, and I feel like this is above Morbius.
Ooh, I forgot what I gave Morbius.
I think you gave it like a 4. I think we all agreed with like a 4.
I also said like a 4.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say a 4.5. It's not the worst, but it's still like below average Marvel movie, and is down there as like one of the bottom 3 movies of the MCU.
This movie might have bumped up Captain Marvel for me, honestly.
Dude, I don't see why you hate on that movie so much. We'll get to
Captain
that.
Marvel's okay, but we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
But yeah, I'm gonna stick with 4.5. It's not the best, and it's not. I've seen this. This is the 3rd time I've seen this movie, and I don't plan on seeing it ever again. And this is the only Marvel movie I'm like that with. Like it's I take that back. Yeah. There's one other that I've seen twice, and I'm like, I'm not seeing this again. But yeah, I think that's gonna have to do it for the Incredible Hulk.
Oh.
Yes. So that's going to do it for the Incredible Hulk. Next time is going to be Iron Man 2, which I am
excited.
This will be a different one because this is my favorite Iron Man movie.
Seriously?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Yes, it's the most entertaining for me. I like it the most. I'm not saying it's the best, but it is my favorite.
It's enjoyable.
That's fair. That's fair. That's absolutely
so
fair.
I'll bring that side of it.
I feel like that's a movie I'm gonna love because this is like it's on the level of Attack of the Clones before I rewatched Attack of the Clones.
I love Iron Man 2.
So I could see me bumping up Iron Man.
Mickey Rourke, the guy that plays I love Whiplash.
When I was a kid.
But yeah, so Iron Man 2 is gonna be next. After we're done recording, we'll probably discuss a time to do that. Whether we have to watch the movie on our own and then meet up. Because some of the reviews are going to have to be like that.
Yeah. Because school just started back yesterday.
Busy.
So busy.
Yeah, and then like work and everything. So we'll discuss it. So yeah, be sure to stay tuned for Iron Man 2. And then after we get to Avengers, since we're about third of the way there, then we'll do a ranking video of all of Phase 1.
Yeah.
Avengers.
Anyways, that's going to do it, and we'll see you later, Whippets.